Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm reviewing Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I've been excited for this movie for a long time. It stars three of my favorite actors, and it takes place in the 1960s, which is one of my favorite eras in Hollywood, and yeah, so needless to say, I've been pretty excited. But it also is directed by Quentin Tarantino, and it involves the Manson murders, which are two things which I'm not sure they were going to go together at all. It's troubling, to say the least. But I have seen the movie. I am ready to review it. So, let's go. Alright, let's get to the plot first. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is all about the fictional character Rick Dalton, played by Leonardo DiCaprio. That's right. He's back. After 4 years, he's back on the big screen. Anyway, Rick Dalton is a Hollywood has-been, essentially. And with the golden age of Hollywood in the past and fading quickly, he is not the star that he once was. And he has become a typecast TV cowboy. Very sad. Very sad that the people don't remember Rick. And he is just trying to kind of live guest appearance to guest appearance on TV shows and find that one big role that could put him back on the map. And Rick's stunt double, Cliff Booth, played by Brad Pitt, Brad is looking fine. He is looking good in this movie. Cliff is not doing any better. Because he is Rick's stunt double, Rick is not providing the work needed for him, so he has become his driver / housekeeper. And the two men are really feeling the end of Hollywood's golden age, and they are seeing kind of how Hollywood is ushering in this new era, and they have taken a back seat to all of this new talent, and things are kind of just coming to an end for them, and they don't know where to go from there. Running a parallel storyline to theirs is Sharon Tate, who moves in next door to Rick, and we kind of see her rise to stardom as Rick just declines. And Margot Robbie plays Sharon Tate in this movie. Now, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is directed by Quentin Tarantino, which he is a very controversial director. He is often known for being very violent in his films, but the first two acts of this film are not very violent at all. They're very tame, and they really just focus on character development and kind of getting to know the people in this film, and I really appreciated that, because I love character development in movies, and I love kind of getting to know who we're focusing on. In fact, the narrative structure in this movie is pretty loose. It's kind of just dialogue, the characters visiting movie and TV sets, and kind of going to parties and things like that. Just kind of a snapshot of the Hollywood social scene and figuring out who these people are. In fact, there are kind of cameos and appearances by people like Steve McQueen and Mama Cass and people like that, so you'll kind of see really what this era was like. And I really liked that. If you like pop culture or filmmaking, you're going to love this movie, because it is so well done in terms of those things. It has such a laser focus on the movie industry, the TV industry, and just pop culture as well. So many scenes focus on movie sets, and there are movie posters, there are TV clips. Certain characters are superimposed into like real movie clips, and it's just so amazing to see. So I really loved that. This movie also stylistically is just fantastic. It makes you feel like you are in the 1960s with these characters. in terms of the soundtrack and the cinematography. It is just a recreation of the 1960s. So that was amazing to see. In terms of the third act, Quentin Tarantino does show that he is himself, so be prepared for that. There is a very violent sequence in the last 20 minutes of this movie. So just get ready. If violence does make you feel very uncomfortable, it is a very gory scene, and it might make you feel sick. I don't know. So just be ready. You may take a bathroom break. I don't know. I think it's very pivotal to the movie, so I don't know. Also, this movie deals with kind of the retelling of historical events. And by retelling, I mean it reworks historical events. So, it is kind of, it exists in sort of like a fairy tale world, which I found very interesting. Quentin Tarantino has done that in some of his other movies, and I think it works really well here in terms of what they're dealing with. You'll know when you see it and you'll understand, but it's a very interesting way to deal with it, with these characters. So, that being said, I've seen a lot of reviews of this and comments of this with people leaving the theater because they're very confused, because they don't know who Sharon Tate, the Manson family are. So I would highly recommend, before seeing this, if you don't know who they are, please read up on them a little bit. Google it, watch a documentary, listen to a podcast, I don't know. I think it's really important before you see this movie that you look into that, because you probably would be incredibly confused if you had no idea who those people were and you go into this movie. It does take liberties that you know who they are. I mean, just for the sake of history, even if you don't go see this movie, I think it's important you know, one, who Sharon Tate is, just for the sake of her memory, and two, who Charles Manson was, just so you don't ever get caught up in any kind of weird stuff, like, that his followers believed, because you don't want any of that. So, moving on from that, the acting in this movie is incredible. I think Leonardo DiCaprio chose a great role to come back for. He is so good as the insecure Rick Dalton, who's just hoping for that role that will bring him back. The trailer scene, the breakdown in the trailer is just so good. That's one of those moments we're going to remember for a long time. He's also really funny in this. This is one of his most comedic movies. He doesn't do a lot of comedic stuff, but there are layers to this character, and I really appreciated that. And I think he could get some awards attention for this. I mean, he should, but who knows? I don't know what will happen, but... And then I think Brad Pitt, you know, besides how hot he is in this movie, it's difficult to think of anything else. He is very mysterious here, and there's just, you want to know more about his character, and you just, there's so many questions, kind of, but he does a really great job of keeping things kind of understated, and then, like, when you least expect it, you're like, oh, okay, like, he kind of takes things to the next level, and that's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to give anything away. Margot Robbie is great here. She's not in it a lot. I think the previews would lead you to believe she's in it way more than she is, but the moments she is in the movie, she is really good. She talks exactly like Sharon Tate does. I think that's something people aren't really giving her credit for. The voice is exactly the same. There's a great scene in this movie where she goes to a movie theater and she watches herself, you know, as Sharon Tate in The Wrecking Crew. And it's just her reactions. It's such a good scene, the way she reacts to seeing herself on screen. And it's actually Sharon Tate on screen instead of Margot Robbie, and I liked that they kept it as Sharon Tate. I think it was a nice added little touch there. There are also so many celebrity cameos in this movie. There's Luke Perry, there's Timothy Olyphant, Kurt Russell, Dakota Fanning, and there's so many more. It's like every second you look at the screen, there's a celebrity on the screen, which is pretty cool. That's pretty neat when a movie can pull that off. Oh, and Al Pacino. I can't believe I forgot that one. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. It's one of those films that just... It was 2 hours and 40 minutes, and it did not feel like that at all to me. I did see it with some people who said they thought it was long, but any movie where I get to watch Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, and Margot Robbie just act, and that's incredible to me that they can pull that off. I mean, that's like Avengers right there. To me, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is like a sprawling, epic snapshot of California in 1969. It's incredible cinematography, fantastic acting, and just the story of fame and the highs and lows of it all is just so fascinating to me. I'm going to give this movie a 9 out of 10. I would highly recommend it. So have you seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? And if so, what did you think? Thanks for watching this review, and don't forget to check out my website, showmethemovies.net.